Let's get some business news for you now. Brian Quinn is here with us in the studio. Hi there, Brian. And we're going to start over in the US. A huge infrastructure proposal that's been put forward by President Biden, but there is a bit of pushback on the taxes that will be needed to pay for it.
Indeed, a key element of that infrastructure plan, $2.3 trillion of infrastructure, is a tax hike on U.S. corporations. And while America's business community has long been largely in favor of an infrastructure overhaul, the Biden plan would do more than just fund roads and bridges. It would be a step towards a major reset of the global corporate tax system. That's a scenario that's causing some alarm in American boardrooms, as Camille Nedelec reports.
But everyone else is falling behind.
The honeymoon between Biden and corporate America might now be over. U.S. companies strongly supported the almost $2 trillion stimulus bill, but his latest proposal, $2.3 trillion in infrastructure spending, is facing pushback. That's because it's expected to be paid for in large part by a rise in higher corporate taxes, from 21% up to 28%.
Good morning. Where there is agreement with across the political spectrum, from investment in infrastructure, doing more to be competitive with China, and what we're really talking about here is how to pay for it. What are the alternatives?
The new system would also levy 21% on profits of U.S. companies in each country they operate in, up to double what corporations currently pay. And American firms would also no longer benefit from zero taxes on the first 10% of their foreign earnings. Republicans are strongly opposed to the hike.
The last thing the economy needs right now is a big whopping tax increase on all the productive sections.
Before Donald Trump's 2017 tax cuts, U.S. corporate earnings were taxed at a nominal 35%. But many companies avoided paying thanks to tax havens, to the tune of $90 billion a year. While many businesses are opposed to the changes, others, such as construction and electric vehicles, would directly benefit from an infrastructure overhaul and see the increase as a necessary cost for big gains later. But the plan is about more than just infrastructure. The Biden administration wants to reset the global tax system and convince other countries to get on board with minimum global tax rates.
Well, stock markets in Europe and the U.S. have the day off for Good Friday. Investors, though, will still be keeping a close eye on the latest monthly U.S. jobs report due out later today. March's report marks 1 year since the American labor market suddenly shed 1.7 million jobs amid coronavirus lockdowns. March 2021 is expected to show a jobs boom as the Biden administration stimulus package and the ongoing U.S. vaccination campaign spur new hiring. Reuters predicts nearly 650,000 new non-farm payrolls for the month, though estimates range from as low as 115,000 to as high as 1.1 million. The U.S. labor market, though, remains scarred. Over 4 million Americans have dropped out of the workforce altogether over the past year. Well, in Europe, meanwhile, the agonizingly slow vaccine rollout here continues to batter national economies. Here in France, the latest lockdown is set to take its toll on retail. As the new restrictions come into force, some 60,000 shops deemed non-essential, those like clothing and jewelry shops, will have to close their doors. After a year of the pandemic, many shopkeepers say they've had enough. Some are even breaking the rules.
These busy crowds are determined to squeeze in one last trip to the shops before fresh restrictions come into force. This jewelry shop in Toulouse will close for a month on Saturday, the third time this year.
Oui, évidemment, elle a la meilleure. Ça commence à être très compliqué moralement. Pour tout le monde, je suppose. Mais là, de se reprendre encore le fait que nous sommes un commerce non essentiel, c'est violent. Certes nécessaire, mais c'est violent.
Closed businesses have recourse to the government Solidarity Fund, which includes either a grant of €10,000 or 20% of their annual revenue. These extra closures will cost the public purse a further €4 billion per month, bringing the total cost of coronavirus support measures in France to some €11 billion a month. As well as state support, some businesses have turned to click and collect. In Paris, this leather goods business is pivoting to online sales.
J'ai constaté que beaucoup de gens dans tous les départements regardaient justement mon site internet et j'ai bon espoir que ça se transforme en achat.
But sales are still slow for now. Meanwhile, some shops have decided they just can't afford to close. On this street, some boutiques let clients try on clothes outside or make orders from the threshold. They're taking a big risk, as if found out, they'll be forced to shut without recourse to government funds.
Well, this latest lockdown will likely take a toll on France's projected economic growth for the year. Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire not yet putting a specific figure on just how much it's expected to reduce the last government projection of 6%. It's not just Europe's vaccine rollout that's been slow. The EU's €750 billion coronavirus recovery fund that was agreed to this past summer has seen only 16 out of 27 member states ratify it so far. Speaking to French network CNews, Le Maire singled out Germany as its constitutional court considers a challenge to the shared debt provision at the heart of the plan. Take a listen.
They need to speed up the process. Opportunity won't knock twice. We need growth now. We need stimulus now. In 2022, 2023, it'll be too late. China and the US will have already left us behind. Europe needs to take the reins of history and move fast. This rescue money promised to European citizens needs to arrive right away. We need it.
And finally, for business, April Fool's jokes have long been a staple of corporate branding, but the pandemic saw the chuckles mostly put on hold for 2020. They were back in 2021. A little roundup today from Velveeta Cheese's skincare line to Legos that automatically avoid being stepped on. One joke that backfired rather badly, though, car maker Volkswagen's announcement of a permanent name change to Volkswagen in the U.S. as it moves to electric vehicles. The problem, they announced it days ahead of April 1st, then insisted to media outlets that it wasn't a prank. Many critics also noting the company's history of using some falsehoods to sell vehicles in the Dieselgate emission scandal might make it wise to avoid such attempts at humor.
Perhaps telling April Fool's jokes is not the right strategy for a company that has not told the truth in the past. You don't tell an April Fool's joke on days other than April Fool's. You don't ask people to participate in the joke that are not part of the joke, the press and the media. You don't take advantage of them. And you keep it short and sweet. And they did all those things wrong. So they took an okay idea and they botched it.
Little comedy lessons from your economic analyst there. You don't want to be on the wrong end of that.
He's got a good point, hasn't he? You don't really make April Fool's jokes
It's true, yeah.
on days other than April Fool's Day.
Wasn't too smooth.
Good advice. Yeah. Brian, thank you very much. Brian Quinn there with The Business. We're taking a short break. Don't go away. Much more still to come here on France 24.